Pokemon Legends ZA has already teased some brand new Pokemon. Despite just barely being revealed and hardly any details being specified about it, there are already some new Pokemon that we can seemingly expect to appear in this game. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what those Pokemon are and showing you what they could look like with some conceptual designs of my very own. And I'm hopefully going to do it before my voice runs out, so I apologize if I sound a little raspy. I kind of sacrificed it for my live reaction of the game. But nevertheless, this one's going to be a lot of fun, so let's go ahead and get to it. So the first Pokemon, or rather set of Pokemon I want to talk about here, are new Mega Evolutions, because obviously the return of Mega Evolution was teased within the reveal trailer for this game, and with the return of Mega Evolution are naturally going to come some brand new Mega Evolutions in all likelihood. One thing that a lot of Mega Evolutions do not have, though, is the mega softness, squishiness, and adorableness of the plush of my channel mascot, Folkachi. This little fella is the super adorable mascot of my channel and of the brand new monster taming video game that I'm currently working on, Histrobi Chronicles, and he's now in plush form, and he's just freaking incredible. He's so soft, he's super squishy, and obviously very adorable. And now, for a limited time, for every Folkachi plush that is purchased at Histrobishop.com with the link in the description below, a tree is going to be planted through the Eden Reforestation Projects. This is an organization that is committed to planting trees and then hires people in the local communities that they work in to plant those trees, thereby providing jobs to people and also planting trees and helping to combat climate change. So not only can you help to plant some trees and help to save the world, but you can also get a super adorable, soft and squishy plushie while you do it, which also immensely supports this channel as well. The fact that I can do things like this is amazing, and honestly, it's just the start of what I want to do in terms of cool stuff that I do on this channel. So if you like what I do here, if you want to see more, and if you want to help plant some trees, be sure to pick up a Folkachi plush with the link in the description below at Histrobishop.com. It's super duper appreciated, it helps out a ton, and I mean, how can you resist this guy? He's just adorable. Let's go ahead and get back to the Mega Evolutions though, and as I said earlier, Mega Evolutions have been teased for this game and have basically been confirmed to be returning, and with that in mind, new Mega Evolutions being introduced in this game are essentially a certainty at this point. And knowing what we know about the Kalos region and about this game, there are some new Mega Evolutions that are definitely more likely than others. And one Mega that is arguably at the top of that list is Mega Flygon. The reason why this is because Mega Flygon was literally going to be a thing during the days of Gen 6. This was mentioned in an interview by Ken Sugimori, but he stated that the idea was scrapped because he got artist's block and couldn't come up with a design that satisfied him and that was good enough to put in the games. Pokemon fans have been begging for a Mega Flygon ever since, and now that we're returning to Kalos with a game that is essentially granting all of our wishes in a new Legends game that's also the return of Pokemon Z and the return of Mega Evolution, why don't you just grant one more wish while you're at it and bring back Mega Flygon? This design that I have created right here shows what that could look like, and it also shows what it could be type-wise as well, because this Mega is a bug dragon type, which is yet another thing that fans have desperately wanted to see, both for Flygon and in terms of just a type combination in general. Now is the time to do it. So this is not only something that essentially everyone in the Pokemon community wants to see, but it's also a golden, and I mean like a golden opportunity to make it happen. So I honestly, especially with how this game is very clearly a response to fan feedback and things like that, I very much could see a Mega Flygon happening, which would just add the cherry on top to this game if it does actually come to fruition. More megas that are definitely possible in this game include mega evolutions of the Kalos starters. These guys that you're seeing on screen right now were drawn by my good friend Elesteva076 a while ago for a video I made on what a Pokemon Legends Kalos game could be like, so be sure to check that video out as well. But he and my main man Oscar Belmonte are the ones who have drawn the artwork for the Fakemon you're going to see in this video, so be sure to check them out with the links in the description. At the time of Pokemon X and Y's release, the Kalos starters not getting Mega Evolutions in the generation where Mega Evolution was introduced always seemed a bit odd. In fact, pretty much no Kalos Pokemon got Megas aside from Diancie in Gen 6. So I feel like now that we're a few generations removed from Gen 6 and we're coming back around to Mega Evolution, the time is definitely now to give some of those Kalos Pokemon Mega Evolutions, and of all the Kalos Pokemon, the starter Pokemon are obviously right at the top of the list, and I think they could definitely receive that treatment. In fact, there is a really popular idea going around right now that I personally really love as well, where we could potentially see a dual starter situation in this game, similar to what we saw back in the days of X and Y, where at first when you begin the game, you get to choose from one set of starters, and then a little later on, you get to choose from another set of starters, and basically have two starters on your team. This could amount to ultimately one of those sets of starters getting a regional variant evolution, like we saw in Legends Arceus, and another set of starters, like say the Kalos starters, getting Mega Evolutions. That would be an absolutely perfect best of both worlds type of situation, and while that concept in general is purely speculative at this point, the idea of the Kalos starters getting Megas in general is something that is definitely likely, at least in my opinion. There is also a good deal of likelihood that we could see something happen to Xerneas and Yveltal as well, either in the form of a Mega Evolution like these ones right here, or in the form of another kind of form, similar to the way that Zygarde got its complete form. Even though, in terms of Pokemon that are being actively teased at this moment, we can pretty much only account for Mega Evolutions, although there is an exception to that I'm going to get into a little bit later, we can pretty much say with a very high degree of likelihood that something is going to happen to Xerneas and Yveltal. It could be in the form of a Mega Evolution, but it also could be something else. But in general, something happening to them is very likely. The reason why this is the case is because pretty much every box art legendary duo or trio or whatever get new forms whenever their games are revisited. We just saw it with Legends Arceus with Dialga and Palkia getting origin forms. We obviously saw it back in the days of Oraz with Groudon and Kyogre getting origin forms. Something along those lines, which could also include a Mega Evolution, is very, very likely, especially because Zygarde itself also has a complete form, and we saw something very similar to this in Legends Arceus, where up until that game, Giratina had an origin form, but Dialga and Palkia didn't. So maybe Xerneas and Yveltal could get something along the lines of a complete form like Zygarde has to sort of make those guys all equals. That would be super, super cool. Whatever it ends up becoming though, whether it is new Mega Evolutions or something else entirely, these Pokemon getting some kind of new form in this game is definitely something that is pretty likely to happen, at least in my opinion. We also have the starters of this game, which I speculate and theorize on who that could be in this video, so be sure to check that out, who could also get, as I mentioned earlier, regional variants and or Mega Evolutions of their very own. Whoever the starter Pokemon are in this game, they are very likely to get something happening to them, whether that's a regional variant, whether that's a Mega. That's something that we can more or less expect to see. And since regional variants have been a constant since Generation 7, and also happened in the last Legends game, I think we can more or less expect to see them here too. So for example, in my starter prediction video, I speculated that Snivy, Scorbunny, and Piplup could very well be the starters that we get in this game, and if they are, they could potentially receive regional variants, like these ones that I've created for previous videos. It's also possible that these starters could get Megas as well, which is also obviously really exciting, and even though we don't exactly know the order in which all of this is going to go down, we do know with a pretty solid degree of certainty that a lot of this is going to happen, especially because there is some teasing going on here as well, and obviously that is immensely exciting. This next one is really interesting because it is not a Mega Evolution, but a brand new Pokemon that is seemingly actively being teased by the reveal of this game. If you look at the logo for Pokemon Legends ZA and look at the Z in the logo, you can pretty clearly see that it's meant to resemble Zygarde, with the hexagonal cells that fill up the letter that obviously connect to Zygarde itself. With that said, if we look at the A in this logo, it is basically doing the same thing that the Z is doing in relation to Zygarde, where this A also has a pattern of its own. It looks to be some kind of grassy, root-like pattern, and if the Z with its pattern is clearly connecting to Zygarde, we can only assume that this grassy-like pattern on the A is also connecting to another Pokemon as well. And since Z obviously connects to Zygarde as a letter, we can also reasonably assume that this Pokemon is connected somehow to the letter A. So it definitely seems like some kind of new A Pokemon is being teased within the logo here, and if that were to ultimately come to fruition, this right here is what it could look like. There is a lot going into this design. I don't know if I'll have time to explain it all to you guys, but this, in my opinion, is a really cool concept for a Pokemon. As the A Pokemon to counteract Zygarde's Z Pokemon status, this Pokemon, who I have temporarily dubbed Anaconda, but you guys are going to have to let me know your own name suggestions in the comments below, because I'm not quite sold on that name, but it basically acts as a opposite counterpart to Zygarde, since A at the beginning of the alphabet is very much opposite of Z at the end of the alphabet, and so as such, to counteract Zygarde as the order Pokemon, Anaconda is the chaos Pokemon. It is basically bent on undoing all the order that Zygarde wants to create. As such, I've given it the grass ice typing to not only go along with the coloration that it has, which comes from the coloration of the A in the logo, but this typing also works out really well because both of these types are strong against Zygarde's types, which are dragon and ground. It's also pretty compelling that this Pokemon is actually a thing and is being teased as well, because naturally with every new Pokemon game release, we have a set or a duo of box art legendary Pokemon. With Legends, it's obviously a little different as a singular game, but as we saw in Legends Arceus, it still essentially did have that with Origin Form Dialga and Palkia. So this A Pokemon could essentially be the second box art legendary for this game to go along with Zygarde. And if you want to say, well, what about Xerneas and Yveltal? Well, they're actually represented in this logo too, because there are very thin strands of blue and red that adorn the hyphen in Pokemon Legends ZA. Shout out to Cerebi Joe for this observation, because he was the one who I think originally noticed it. But yeah, with that being said, even those guys are represented in this logo, and so if you look at it from that perspective, every character of this logo in Pokemon Legends ZA is depicting some kind of legendary Pokemon. The Z depicts Zygarde, the hyphen depicts Xerneas and Yveltal, therefore you would assume that the A would also depict something as well, especially because it's got its own pattern and all of this other stuff that we've already gone into. But this is a Pokemon that we could definitely see happen as we get closer to this actual game's release and stuff, and I think that is super, super exciting. And then to wrap back around to where we started the video, we're going to look at a couple more Mega Evolutions. And these ones I think are very possible, not only because Mega Evolutions have obviously been teased, but also because they just make sense. The first of these, which you may have been expecting to see in this video, is Mega Charizard Z. The idea of a Mega Charizard Z has been in people's brains since people thought Pokemon Z was going to be a thing back in the days of Gen 6 a decade ago, because obviously Charizard got 2 Mega Evolutions in the form of Mega X and Mega Y, so they thought with the release of a Pokemon Z, it would only be right for it to also get a Mega Z as well. Well, that never happened, but now with the return of Kalos and the revival of Pokemon Z, this is something that actually could legitimately happen, because obviously we know Megas are coming back, and we know this is a Pokemon Z themed game, and it's Charizard. Charizard is a marketing powerhouse, it prints money, and with everything you have going for this game in terms of hype, doing a Mega Charizard Z to, once again, with similar to some of these other ideas, just to put that cherry on top of the concept of this game, just makes all the sense in the world. So I feel like just from a pure marketing and just hype perspective, this is a no-brainer. The only way I see them not doing this is if they don't want to go too overkill with Charizard, because they obviously have been doing that in the past, and I'm sure they're aware of how people are kind of sort of sick of all of the attention that Charizard is getting, but obviously they got to account for the general public and not just the hardcore fans, and the general public would love a Mega Charizard Z. Even just the name Mega Charizard Z sounds hype as heck, so I definitely feel like this has a at least decent shot of happening. And then, very much in the same vein as Mega Charizard Z, the other Mega Evolution is Mega Mewtwo Z. Just like Charizard, Mewtwo is a marketing powerhouse for Pokemon. It is super popular, it is super beloved, and that is obviously the reason why it got 2 Mega Evolutions just like Charizard in Pokemon X and Y. So, once again, same thing, if you're gonna do a Pokemon Z, why not give Mewtwo the Mega Mewtwo Z treatment, just like you would naturally do with Charizard, to basically just print money and provide some free marketing for your game that would be hype as heck and would just be a no-brainer. It just, like I said, it's the same thing as Mega Charizard Z. It makes all the sense in the world. Even the name itself sounds amazing. It would provide free marketing. And this one in particular, because Charizard, or Mewtwo rather, isn't seen as just like overdone as Charizard is, I feel like even the community would love this. It wouldn't be as much of a just a worn out, burnt out situation as it is with Charizard, because people aren't as burnt out on Mewtwo as they are with Charizard. So I think that makes this even more of a no-brainer. The only thing that could hold it back is the overall time frame of the game and whether or not this is set in the far enough in the present day or the future for Mewtwo to be a thing, but we did see a lot of futuristic elements in the reveal trailer, so it could be possible. This particular design that I have created is a Psychic Ghost type, and the concept behind it is that the added power of Mega Evolution that is infused into Mewtwo's body upon Mega Evolving into Mega Mewtwo Z, combined with all of the power that it already has as a souped up clone of Mew, has basically proved to be too much for this Pokemon's body to handle, and as such, its body has begun to erode away, revealing parts of its spirit. This not only sounds super cool, even if that is just my own opinion, but it also goes along with the whole themes of Mega Evolution and how the process is very brutal on the bodies of the Pokemon that undergo it. So I feel like this is something that more or less could happen with a Mewtwo if Mewtwo got the Mega Z treatment, and if it did, not only because of the Mega Mewtwo Z concept, but because of the design, this would be like 5 cherries on top to this game. So this is something that I would definitely love to see, and with the tease of Mega Evolution, and with just the inevitability that this seems to have, I really hope it actually happens. With that said though, those are some new Pokemon that have been teased and potentially could be coming to Pokemon Legends ZA. And now I want to know what you guys think. Are these Pokemon that you would like to see come to this game, and are there any others that you think are going to make their way into the game as well? Be sure to let me know in the comments, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more if you haven't already, because I got lots of cool content for ZA and in general coming. I'm putting out stuff all the time. And just thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it a lot. With that being said though, I will be back with another new video very, very soon. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching this one. I really appreciate it. And until the next one, as always, I will smell you guys later.